Hello, everybody. This is Joanna. Welcome to Team Joanna, and you are all my earth angels today. I'm actually very excited about today. I have an incredibly special gift. Yes, he's a gift, a very special guest with me, and we will be talking about plant medicine. For those of you who have received an email from me, and for those of you who have sent questions, thank you so much. We will be covering as much as we can cover in about an hour. It is a lot of information to take in, so this will probably be one of many audios that will spur many questions down the road. So I would invite you to write down any questions that you have that come from listening to this audio and post them down below in the comments line so that I can gather your questions, and we will do another audio or video to answer those questions. What I want to say first and foremost is I neither of us actually advocate or oppose any use of any substance that alters your perception. And I will say that to every single person that asks me about plant medicine. And here's the reason, and the reason is very simple. My aim is to share my story, is to have my guest share his story. He's part of the family. And hopefully sharing our experiences will help you make the right choice for you, whatever the right choice for you is. As long as you make your choice from the space of having done your research, having heard honest information, because there's a lot of information out there. And it's just about being responsible and making a conscious choice and conscious decision that is well thought out and well researched. Before I started on my journey with plant medicine, I did a lot of research, but I am a queen of research. These things fascinate me. So if you are thinking about plant medicine, specifically psychoactive plant medicine, many of you have expressed a lot of interest. More than anything, the first thing you should do and need to do is research what it is. And I will be the first one to say it very bluntly, and I want this to be the first thing you hear. If you are looking for quick fix, it's not for you. Plant medicine is incredible. And even as I say it, I want to get emotional because I love plant medicine. To me, it's a gift from God, whatever God means to you. However, it is not for everyone because not everyone is ready. So the other thing that I want to share with you is when plant medicine wants to work with you, make no mistake, it'll find you. Medicine will find you. It'll come into your consciousness. It'll come on your channel. Somebody will talk about it. You will hear somebody say it, and it'll just be repetitive to the point where you'll go, there must be something in it. So make no mistake, never, ever undertake a plant medicine journey because you think it will be fun, because oftentimes it isn't, or because someone suggests it, or because you want to have something fix your problem, because that's not going to happen. It is, in my humble opinion, it is a miracle. But just like with every miracle, there is work to be done. So medicine will show you many, 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 many things that you are struggling with, that you are not struggling with. But at the end of the day, the responsibility comes down to you. The medicine will not fix anything for you. As a matter of fact, nobody will, and no thing can fix anything for us. At the end of the day, the responsibility falls on us. But we have tools, we have various ways to help ourselves. So it is absolutely a way to help ourselves grow, but by no means is this something that I would consider a fix. So I want to make that known right away. I'm very honest about that, and I'm very forthright about that. So that's the first thing I want to say. Now, second, as important, is my beautiful friend Brody. So Brody has his own plant medicine retreat, and I met Brody about a year ago when I was attending my first ayahuasca ceremony. And it was during my last ceremony where he basically held my hand for 2 hours while I was going through an incredibly, incredibly powerful experience. And one that on the outside looked kind of scary, but to me it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life in a positive way. So I will bring Brody in right now. I just want to mention first, his retreat is called Soul Flight. I have included the information below. There's a link there below for you. And before I introduce Brody, I want to say that we're not going to go too much into history of what plant medicine is, because that would take probably 4 hours, and I don't want to bore you with that. I will include some links on some videos and some documentaries that have helped me when I was researching, but then it's up to you to do your own research, and there's a lot of research to be done. So we will basically be touching upon certain things, but by no means will you walk away from this audio totally knowing what plant medicine is. If anything, you'll have more questions, and that's actually really what my aim is. So without further ado, Brody, welcome.
Thank you very much, Joanna, and I'm very grateful for you having me on here.
I'm actually getting emotional. I am so excited. I'm getting emotional because this is something that is just basically coming into my life, and you came into my life, and we stayed in touch, and it's just everything just coming together so fast that it actually scares me. So, Brody, how did you come to work with plant medicine?
Well, plant medicine, ayahuasca was something that was in the back of my mind for years and years and years. But as I grew up, I had touched into some psychedelics, and I'd had some experiences that weren't that pleasant. So the thought of going out into the jungle and doing ayahuasca, it wasn't exactly for me at that time. So it was kind of in the back of my mind, but not something I was going to jump all over. And eventually I'd found a place that wasn't in the Amazon and offered the medicine. So that was when I took my leap, and I got into the medicine right away, and as soon as I'd found out.
And you've been in it ever since. As a matter of fact, this is why you have now your own retreat. It called you.
Correct. I got into it. I did one retreat. I spent a week, 4 nights with the medicine, and then I took a year off. But as soon as after my first retreat with the 4 nights of medicine, my entire life started shifting and changing, and it just started flowing in the direction of the medicine. My first night with the medicine, I knew that it was for me and it was my path, but I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to all play out. Mm-hmm. And I just started flowing with it, letting things happen. My job started shifting. I found everything just started working its way into allowing me to get back down to Costa Rica here and be with the medicine.
And when I say the words, plant showed you, and she told you, when I had my experience, and I from my experience with other people, hearing from other people, she talks to other people, but I talk to her every day. Let me describe what I felt for those of you who are listening who are not aware. Ayahuasca is a spirit. It's very feminine. It's a very feminine spirit, and she talks to you like a mother who loves you unconditionally. And when I say unconditionally, let me tell you, when I first felt her love, I couldn't take it. It was overwhelming. I have never felt, and I want to cry, I have never felt so much love, not even from my own mom. And it almost scared me how much she loved me. And you know what she said to me? She said, "You are the director of your own life, but I can help you direct if you allow me. And the only way you will allow me is if you trust me. So I'm going to help you trust me." And one entire night, she held me in her arms, and all I experienced was unconditional love. It was out of this frickin' world. And for those of you who are sensitive, you can probably feel my energy. So when I say I talk to her every day. She is in my life from that moment, about a year ago. She's in my life, and I speak to her every day. Every morning I wake up, I say, "Hello, Mother Aya, thank you for being in my life." Because it's I don't even know how to explain it any other way. Is your experience similar in terms of how she feels to you?
Very. She had to give me a few tougher lessons for me to understand the love and the trust and the acceptance bit. So it didn't come as easy for me, but that's one of the main things she teaches is you learn how to trust. And that is such a big thing in everyday life too. If you aren't trusting yourself, you're not able to trust others. So she teaches you how to trust. And it's beautiful if you actually sit with it and understand it, accept it, and then start playing it out in your own life and trusting people. Everything seems to shift for the better.
Absolutely. I would almost dare to say that it was a reset for me. And although I've had other plant medicine experiences few years prior to that, which I firmly believe has helped me prepare, because I've done a lot of internal work to help me prepare for what she showed me, and she showed me a lot. So I'll share some of those experiences. But when I say that it was tough when I felt that love, because I was not only was I not used to it, her level of love towards me, the intensity of that love made me realize just how much I feel unworthy.
I can relate to all of that.
And although I knew it on a conscious level and I knew it deeper because I've had, like I said, other plant medicine experiences, this was on a whole different level. So when people talk about difficult experiences on Aya, that was difficult for me. To feel that love was difficult for me because it was in opposition of what I felt about me. And I had to get through it. And ever since my life, well, it keeps on changing. People have asked, has this changed your life and is it permanent? It's getting better and better every single day. Does that mean I have no troubles or concerns? God, no. It just means that what she has showed me allowed me to have different tools, show me a different way. She doesn't do the work for me. And she has a wicked sense of humor, which is right up my alley because I have a dry sense of humor. So, that would be considered a difficult experience for me, is the intensity of that sheer love. I feel like I'm going to jump all over the place. So if I do, I apologize. I'm just very excited right now. Maybe we can touch on very, very briefly, what is ayahuasca and where does it come from? And what does it do for us? Just like a 5-minute lesson.
Yeah, for sure. We'll keep it extremely simple because there are some bigger names for it and it starts to get confusing. So I'm going to explain this in a way that is very simple.
Beautiful.
And basically it all starts out, our bodies produce, ayahuasca is DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine. And the dimethyltryptamine is released in our pineal gland. And at that point, we start to see visions. It is no different than at night when we are dreaming. Most people can remember some sort of visions or a dream where they've seen something. And it is basically that concept. In our bodies, our lungs are the major producer of DMT. So when you do breath work and that sort of thing, you can also activate these visions. So the one catch with our bodies is we have this MAO4 inhibitor. So as soon as the DMT is being released in our bodies, this inhibitor is kind of eating up the DMT so that we aren't in vision state all of the time. So with the ayahuasca we have the ayahuasca vine, which has an MAO, it masks the MAO inhibitor. So it is eating up that inhibitor, which allows the DMT to stay functioning and stay working. So we also mix the ayahuasca vine with the chacruna leaf, which is jam-packed with DMT. And with the two of them together, your body is no longer breaking down the DMT, and it is just a rush of DMT to the pineal gland, which brings on the vision state, the psychoactive experience.
As you are explaining this, it's coming back to my mind that DMT is what's also called a spirit molecule.
Correct.
It actually has been termed that way by some doctor. Actually, there's a book called the Spirit Molecule. And just to reiterate, DMT is something that we produce in our own bodies. And apparently, it is the chemical that is excreted or produced, here's my cat, when we are born and when we die. Is that correct?
That is correct. When people see the light or the tunnel at the end and experience all of these situations when you're passing or about to pass, that is DMT being released to your pineal. So it's the same experience.
So essentially what's happening with the plant is that it allows us to have that experience other than through birth or death.
Correct.
Is that kind of like a good way of explaining it?
That is basically it. They do call ayahuasca vine the vine of death. So that is the name given behind it. So it is the exact same experience.
And it's not the physical death we're talking about. We're talking about death of an ego. Is that correct?
Yes, that is the idea behind it, is the death of an ego.
Yeah, so it's death of who we think we are, because each time we drink ayahuasca, we are catapulted to another level of consciousness that we do not normally have access to.
Correct. And the death of an ego, a lot of people say it that way, but it's not like your ego dies. The idea behind working with ayahuasca is to actually make friends with your ego, understand how it works, and be able to, I guess, get control back from it. It's no longer controlling your life and your emotions and how you feel about certain situations.
I love what you just said, because essentially what I saw is to come to a point where you and your human ego is in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, because we humans need our ego, because that is what gives our human experience. So we cannot get rid of the ego, because that's how we know ourselves in terms of who we are as a separate individual. So
exactly, we
cannot check out the ego until we're dead and we're not dying.
That's right.
And I think what you've said is enough. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but that's because ego death can sound pretty scary. It can sound pretty scary, but when I'm going to speak from my experience, when I experience the truth of who I was, which is essentially an awareness beyond the everyday awareness, and I realized that who I was basically love. Your ego has a bit of a hard time with that, especially if part of your ego is, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, I should this, It's completely contradictory to what we know. Most of us anyway. And then there's the whole idea of knowing and actually embodying that knowing, which is a whole new different thing. Completely different. To know that you are loved, but to actually experience it are two different things.
Yeah, and that is one scenario I had with the medicine where I had understood that love is the most powerful energy. So at any point in your journey or experience, if something scary comes up, if you approach it with love, love is more powerful. Love will totally take the situation and flip it 180, and it will become a beautiful thing. So I knew this in the back of my mind, and I'm saying like, love, 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 help me, love, love, love. But she taught me that it has to be true love. You have to mean it. You can't just say love. You have to feel it. You have to basically drop into your heart and express love. And as soon as you learn how to do that and truly love something, that is when it starts to be powerful, and it will change the situation for you.
What I found with respect to love is one of the things that I said to her when I was in the middle of an experience. I said, please teach me how to teach, because to me, Mother Ayahuasca is an incredible teacher, a powerful, powerful teacher. And she teaches through love, but she also teaches through love like a mother would, that knows what's best for you, even though you don't know what's best for you. So she can be sometimes a little bit tough. It's like sometimes she will show you that you can fly, even though you don't believe you can. So she gives you a little push. And when I said to her, show me how to teach, this is what she said to me. She says, in order for you to teach love, you first have to know how to love you. And I went, oh my God. Because I knew I didn't at that point. She just showed me that the first night. And I went, okay, so basically the number one thing for me was to start to learn how to love myself. And she showed me who I was from a different perspective than I see myself. And I began to see myself with compassion. And it's very hard to put into words. Like, these experiences are very difficult to put into words because sometimes there's no words that can convey it. The best way that I could describe it is this. I saw myself as with this incredible compassion. And from that compassionate space, I had nothing but love towards me. And I guess it's because the ego was kind of checked aside, because there was not a lot of room for my ego saying, this is stupid, this is that. I was just so into the experience that it was just There was just no other way to see it but that way. And that's what kind of began to show me that, begin to show me a different side of me, not the one that I'm always used to, the 3D person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And even how you say the ego is kind of checked out. Some people explain it as your physical, when you drink the medicine, your physical body ends up in a drunkenness state, and your ego also ends up in a drunkenness state. The only part of you that is sober and able to work through you is your soul. So it's clear communication. It is the one thing communicating with you clearly at this time. Everything else is kind of under the influence.
And it is unmistakable. It is like you are, well, at least with me, I was having a full-on blown conversation. And like I said, she has a wicked sense of humor. Well, and I think I want to throw this in because I'm being guided to say this. When ayahuasca first found me, which was about 4 years ago, except I didn't know it then. I didn't understand the signs. Someone mentioned it to me, and I just went, and they said, "Oh, but you're going to throw up." And like, okay, well, I don't want to throw up. You know, I just had that thing, I don't want to throw up. And then when, again, it presented itself to me, and then I decided to go through the experience, throwing up was one of the things that I really didn't want to do. So I said to her, "Please don't make me puke." I literally said that to her, and she said, "I won't, I promise." I said, "Promise, you won't make me throw up." She says, "I won't." And she didn't. Not until the last night, I basically said, "I don't care. I don't care if I do." And this is going to sound so weird for those of you who are listening. Never in my life has throwing up felt so good. Because every time I would purge, I was purging my insecurities, my inadequacies, my self-worth not being good enough. Every single time I purged, she was telling me what I was purging out. And I'm getting chills as I say that. So never in my life has purging felt so good. So I got over my fear of purging. So there it is.
It is definitely not a normal puke, that is for sure. Yeah. And that's how I try and explain it to people as well, because many people, that is a problem. I don't want to have to puke, and I don't want to have to sit on the toilet. And I try and explain to she will put you through an experience, something that happened in your life that you've been holding on to. You will learn the lesson from it. She will teach you the lesson. You accept it. And when you're ready to let it go, that is the point where that low energy, low vibration memory or emotion that you've been holding on to has to go somewhere. Yeah. So you purge it out. And it is the best feeling ever. It opens up such a space in your self. It's amazing.
The best way to describe it, because the interesting thing is there is nothing to purge, because you're not allowed to eat for like 8 hours prior to drinking her. So there is nothing to purge out. It's that you just said it. It's a release. It's a release. So if you at some point, you listening, thinking that this might be something for you, and you've done a lot of research and you've done a lot of questions, and you picked a space where you're guided intuitively, where you feel you will be safe, and we'll talk about the safety aspect because that is of utmost importance. Do not let the idea of purging scare you, because I'm telling you, if you do, and you don't have to, I didn't for 3 nights, and only on the fourth night when I said, okay, I don't care. It was the best thing. It was the best purge I've ever had. So don't let that scare you, because that was initially my thing, like, oh, I don't want to do it. It's like, oh, Joanna, you're so silly. All right, maybe we should
just to touch on the purging.
Yes.
A lot of people understand that you are sitting on the toilet or you're puking your guts out, and there are other ways of purging as well. It can come as laughing, it can come as sweating, it can come as yawning. It doesn't necessarily have to be coming out one of the ends. I know people that have drank the medicine, I would say upwards of 40 times and never purged. So it's not like everybody is purging by any means.
That is actually, thank you for mentioning that. That's such a good point, because that is so true. I did so much yawning. It's like, oh my God. It's like I haven't slept for 4 years. But yawning, and I was also, I had chills. It was heat and then chills that were going
shaking.
through. And shaking. Yeah. Which is interesting, because that's actually when you basically babysat me for 2 hours. I was shaking.
That's correct. Yeah.
It was here's my cat. It was the most interesting and weirdest experience of my life, because Apparently to the outside, it didn't look very good, but I was in seventh heaven. And you were there for 2 hours, basically holding my hand.
And that is a catch too, because as soon as I started researching ayahuasca and went down the rabbit hole and started watching videos, and you see some of people during ceremony, and it doesn't look very pleasant to watch what their body is doing at that time. But what you see on the outside has absolutely nothing to do with what is actually going on the inside.
Right.
That's almost the worse it looks, the better the situation for that person. That person is going to come out of that experience and be a brand new person. It's incredible. Some people look and they're like, what is going on here? Is that person okay? But
yeah,
it's all part of it.
Before I had the first ceremony, this was talked about. It was one of the things that was talked about. And there was a gentleman next to me, and the first night, like, I thought he was having a hard time. So when everything was done and we were, having breakfast, I said, how are you? He says, why do you ask? I said, well, it looked like you were struggling. He says, oh my God, are you serious? It was the best night ever. So you just never know.
That's exactly it.
You just never know. With my experience, people were looking, they were really concerned. Like, there were people who were concerned. And I just I think at one point I'd said, does this look scary to you guys? And I should mention quickly what was happening. You said that the medicine I was coming in and out of the medicine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for your experience also, the ceremony was basically wrapped up, and most of the people weren't really affected by the medicine anymore, and you stayed in it for quite some time after that period.
So, and while I was going through it, I was being guided by a spirit who healed me a couple hours before. I'm gonna say it, an alien, and he was walking me through the entire experience. And basically, what he was saying to me, there was so much energy that was coming to me that my body was having difficult time adjusting to it. And it's like I literally felt like I was birthing something. That's what it felt like. And I remember one of the comments, one of the emails, I don't know who said it. Maybe if I come through the name, I will mention the name. But one of the questions was, has this helped you with your skills? So this is what the being said to me. He said, Joanna, you are a powerful healer. And I said, oh my God. He said, you're no longer a medium. And that scared me. And my ego got scared. He said, you're a powerful healer. When he said that to me, it hit me like a brick in my face. And it hit me because I realized that I didn't feel deserving of it. And here's what he said to me. He said, look, you're all healers. Just accept that. So here's your choices. You can either deny it or accept it. It's up to you. And at that point, I wasn't going to argue with him. I said, okay, I will accept it. And then eventually within 3 months, I actually felt it in my body. I actually felt me embodying being a healer. So he said to me, over the next 6 months, you will receive a lot of healing abilities. Your only job is to accept it. Don't worry about what to do with it. Your only job is to accept it. And he was bang on. I still continue to receive awarenesses where sometimes I scratch my head and I go, yeah, I think I'm losing my mind. And then I come out of the ego freaking out, and my perception just widened. So has this changed the way I express my gift? Not only has it changed how I express my gift, by me accepting what he said, that I am a healer, I allowed those gifts to come through to me because I already have them. But my lack of self-worth was not allowing those gifts to come through. So the gifts are a side effect.
An important part of the medicine as well is a lot of people think that it is the medicine that is healing one, but it is the medicine teaching you how to heal yourself.
Yes.
You are the healer. Everybody
Absolutely.
is their own healer.
Absolutely.
You get that power back and you understand how powerful you truly are and what your thoughts are doing to you and the people that you're around and what you're putting in your body, you start to understand how you can heal yourself from anything.
I have so many people saying every day in my sessions, I want to be a healer, I want to be a healer. And I continually keep saying, what you don't understand is you already are. And until you accept it, it's going to be very hard for you to express it. And she shows you what it is that you're not accepting. Basically what she does, I feel, if I could put it in a mundane way, she takes off your blinders and she shows you what's going on. And she shows you this at a depth that is beyond our normal level of consciousness. Now, what I'm being asked to say here is almost like a FYI, you do not need to drink ayahuasca to get to that space. It is one way of getting there, but by no means this is something and there is nothing else. Absolutely not. So I don't want anybody to think that by any means. It is a tool just like anything else. You can do this through meditation. You can get this through breath work. There are plenty of ways. It's just different people are guided to different things. That's all. I was guided to plant medicine. It's part of my journey. Not everybody is.
That's very true. And the fact that you are the healer. Everybody is their own healer.
Right.
Mother Ayahuasca, she is just there to teach you how to heal yourself and show you that you have the power to do it and teach you the tools to be able to do that as well. It's not the ayahuasca that is doing the healing. It is the ayahuasca that is teaching you how to heal yourself.
Exactly. And that's why when we talk about this isn't a quick fix, because she's not going to fix you. She's going to show you, number one, this is one of the most beautiful things, because she's going to show you, you're not broken. You're not broken. It's an illusion. You thinking there's something wrong with you is an illusion. It's not real. And you see it so clearly. I get so excited. Sorry. You see it so clearly when she shows you. And then it's up to you then to accept it. Without that acceptance, it's very hard to move forward with it, right? Does that make sense?
Definitely,
you know?
For sure. And I find for me, the best part of ayahuasca is that I'm able to see some visions on it quite often, and visions aren't for everybody. For some people, it's just a knowing. It can be a message that comes to you. It comes in different ways. But for me, a lot of the time, it's a vision. And she's able to show me how energy works behind the scenes and how your thoughts can change your world and what you're putting into your body. So all she is doing for me is showing me what is going on behind the scenes, so that when I come back out of that state, my belief is stronger of the power that I actually have.
Yes.
Once you've seen it working, it's easier to believe, and your belief is stronger. And when your belief is stronger, you are more powerful and you're able to heal yourself in these other ways.
Brilliantly said. Brilliantly said. So you come out of it with a clear understanding and you become out of it more conscious of your power. I think that's what she does, is she shows you the truth of who you really are. She shows you the truth that you are power. And I remember my first experience was, holy cow, the power of intention. I couldn't get over the power of intention. How everything is based on what we believe. And although we know that consciously, it's a completely different level. And when I saw that, I went, holy crap, the things I say to myself, they're like, I'm damaging myself with the way I think. And you can't, it shows you so clearly, it's undeniable. And what ends up happening, at least with me, is you begin to look at yourself and you begin to feel sad for the torture you put yourself through. I remember I had that. It was very hard for me. I was seeing myself. I was seeing that little girl. And it was a part of me, how she was so lost, how she was so afraid, and how all she wanted was to be just held and loved. And she showed me that, and it choked me up. It choked me up. So when people talk about hard experiences, that's an example of a hard experience. It hurts to see how much we hurt ourselves without knowing. Make sense?
That's a solid point, for sure. It is very difficult to take a look at yourself and see what you've actually been doing to yourself. Nobody else is doing it to you. Everything comes from you and where your mindset is at, and things that are happening on the outside of you are a reflection of you. And when you actually sit back and accept that, and stop putting the blame on others for things that are happening, it's a tough one to swallow.
Yeah. And that's a good point that you're making. You know, if there is anyone out there, and I know it's none of my listeners, I just know that, but if there is anyone out there who thinks that, you know, they're going to go there and Mother Ayahuasca is going to eliminate certain people from their life, all she's going to show is how they serve you, what they're there for in your life in order to help you gain certain something. And ultimately, you're going to realize, oh God, it's all me. It's to me, it's just incredible. She basically shows you the truth. And as the saying goes, sometimes truth is hard to see. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Is anything coming to your mind? I'm just looking at some questions here.
Yeah, like the one part that's coming to me about when you accept responsibility for everything in your life. For me, I could see people outside of me and I put my problems onto them, and then I made the problem about them. It's not me, it's this person. And then when you finally understand that that person is just a reflection of what is going on in your mind. And some of these situations, you think, how the heck could I ever forgive this person if this person is doing this to me? Right. So then I was told another story that it hit home for me, and it's given me the ability to forgive so many people. And it's basically the idea that we live many lives. And each time we come down here, we are here for an experience. We learn certain things, we grow, we go back, we regroup, we decide what we want to learn again, we come back down, and we just keep growing stronger and raising the consciousness, basically. So on the other side, there was this soul that was asking God or source, whatever you want to call them, what does jealousy feel like? And source or God is trying to explain what jealousy feels like. And until you experience something on your own, you really don't know what it is. Somebody can explain something to you all they want, but you have no idea until you've experienced it. Right. So finally, this other soul walks up behind this one and says, you know what? I love you so much that when we go back down this time, I am going to teach you what jealousy feels like. Mm-hmm. So I agree to put you in a situation where you are going to feel jealousy until you understand it, accept it, get it, and move on from it. So basically, the idea is that this is what's starting to happen in our lives down here. When we have somebody that comes into our life and they cause a problem, what we foresee is a problem. All it is a lesson, but we get taught these certain ways and this conditioning that we have down here where we just start to see them as the problem. But all they're trying to do is teach us a feeling or teach us something so that we can learn about it, accept it, let it go, and grow from it. Yeah. So as soon as I learned that it's this agreement that you make before you come down here, the ones that may be the most difficult to forgive down here are probably the ones that love you the most. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are taking this experience and teaching you something that you want to learn, ideally, or is the idea behind it. So that has given me the ability to forgive so many people for situations that I couldn't understand before. I just thought it was problems that they had, but if it's actually me that was wanting to learn it this time and grow from it.
And it's a very humbling experience when you understand that, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's deep.
It's a different way of looking at things, for sure.
Yeah, and for the logical mind, it's very hard to grasp. Like even for me, I mean, like I said, I've had few experiences with different types of plants. Even though I have the awareness and I've had the experiences where I've connected to what I call is God, which is essentially everything. Everything is God, including you and I and everyone listening. When I see things in the world, for example, abuse of animals, my humanness kicks in. And I will admittedly tell you that I have hard time making peace with it. So it just shows you that just because I have this awareness and I'm in this most of the time, I still go into my humanness. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I've accepted it, and it's just part of my journey. At the end of the day, I'm still a human. If I was not to have those human connections, I probably would have checked out. Right? So this is not about how to be in that consciousness all the time, because to be in that consciousness all the time is not practical for human survival. It just isn't. In that consciousness, we know that we are here for, for a specific reason. But once we leave this body, we're going home. And if we had that consciousness 24/7 on that depth, we would make stupid choices and we would get ourselves killed, because we would be walking around thinking, oh, I'm not going to die. You know what I mean?
That's it. Right. This is the human experience, and we're meant to enjoy it while we're here too. We have to be a human as well. When we go back home to the other side, that's where we can be full consciousness and do all that stuff. Right. It's great to be here and understand it and know how it works and be able to use it to your advantage, I guess, per se.
Yeah.
But in the end, this is the human experience, and we should enjoy it while we're here.